Hi, welcome to Chad Silversmithing. First, thanks for coming to my channel. I really appreciate you visiting. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like button before you leave, that really helps me out a lot as far as promoting my channel. And feel free to leave comments or suggestions or ideas for videos or whatever in the comment section down below. Today I wanted to make 3 different styles of adjustable rings. I get a lot of clients who ask for things that are adjustable, so occasionally I make stuff like this, and I thought I'd share some ideas I've had with you. So before we do that though, I need to thank some people, and I wanted to give a shout out to my YouTube subscribers. We passed 4,200 recently, and that's astounding and great. I really appreciate your support and your comments and your people who are buying me coffee and stuff like that. I really appreciate that. I also wanted to thank my patrons over on Patreon. I think I'm approaching 50 patrons over there, and that's really amazing, and we're building a great community. I really feel like I'm making some friends over there, and we share lots of ideas, and I make them exclusive tutorials and stuff like that. So it's a nice place. If you're interested in that, check the video description down below for details. There's also links to my website where you can buy jewelry, like the stuff that I make here. Some of that ends up there. You can also, like I said, buy me a coffee if you want to contribute to my channel. Or you can buy, I have a merch link down there too as well. So check that out. There's some useful merch, especially my design idea book, which has been popular and I really like. So check those things out. But let's get started on this project. All right, let's take a look at my what I drew up here. I was struggling with some different interesting ideas to come up with here, but I think I have a few good ones. I think one, I'm going to make like a belt buckle sort of looking thing with a belt and have that so it slides through. And I'm going to put a little turquoise here. It's kind of pretty, and I think that'll make a good belt buckle. This is a side view of it. It should go through some, like a little slot that I created under there, under the stone. And then an extra slot that is like a belt loop that takes care of the end of the loose flappy end of your belt when you're wearing it. I'm going to do some sort of bypass where it goes next to each other like this. That's a good way to deal with fingers, especially people who have some arthritis and are getting enlarged knuckles. That kind of a ring will kind of pop over their knuckle pretty easily, and that's kind of a nice design for that. And then I'm going to do an overlap one where I'm really going to take a piece of 14 gauge round, make it into a loop, bend it around and mount a stone on it, and then have part of it overlap itself. And then it's free to move back and forth a little bit, and that makes it a little bit adjustable. So do those ones. I'll talk about a few other ones. I think let's start with the belt one. I like that. I'm excited to try that one. I've cut myself, I think for the materials here, I'm going to use 18 gauge sterling sheet, and I think I'll taper it to a point here. We're going to mount kind of a little a tunnel made out of some other sheet here, probably 22 gauge, and then mount the stone on top of it, and we'll drill some holes into it and add an additional little loop for the end to go through. We'll have some holes like belts usually do along the length of it. So, alright, so I think I'm going to start by tapering this down a little bit. In advance, because we're doing 3 different rings, I went ahead and made the bezel up front, so I got a bezel already for this stone. So I'm going to go ahead and file this down so it's more like the end of the belt. I cut this, I don't know, about a little over 6 millimeters wide. And I gently tapered it a little bit so that it's a little bit wider on this end where the stone's going to be, and so this will be able to slip through there pretty easily, I think. I want it to have adequate space to go through that little slot. Alright, I think we should probably mark where we're going to put some holes in it. So I'm thinking, let me grab my marker. There you are. Let's maybe find the center of this. So it's If we do this, I can make sure that I get the holes drilled relatively close to the center. I don't want to have wonky off-centered holes. Nobody wants that. That's pretty close. Okay, so how far apart do you think they should be? I don't want them to be very big, probably. Let's go with okay, I'm going to drill some little fine holes through there. I'll be right back. Okay, drilled some holes through it, and I think I might, I have a pattern template that I can use to roll through the rolling mill with this that kind of looks, let's see, looks sort of leathery. So I might use that and give this a little bit of a texture, just for fun. Okay, might need to straighten it out a little bit. That curved it slightly, so I'm going to do that real quick. Okay, that looks pretty good, I think. I think I'm going to file this nice and flat now. I need to create a little rectangular slot for the tongue of the belt to slide through. Actually, two of them. One to be a platform for my bezel, where did I put that? Oh, right there. So I need a platform for this to sit on that's elevated and leaves a slot under there. And then I'll need another slot over here to look like the little belt loop that normally holds the tongue from flapping around. So, some 22 gauge here. I think let's try and use that. For this one I'm going to make it a little wider this way, but for the other one it'll be pretty narrow. So let's do this. It needs to stick up a little bit. So I'm going to give myself see if we go like 3 millimeters extra to each side. I don't know. Maybe 3.5. I'm going to go 4, and then we can file it down if we need to. How about that? But mostly, this is 22 gauge sterling sheet. As far as the width of the piece that goes under here, I think let's make it about half of the bottom of the bezel there. And we should do another one that's narrow. That. I'm just marking where I'm going to bend them. I'm going to cut this one off. And then let's flatten this back out. I'll edge this one a little bit. Starting to get where my small enough to where my fat finger syndrome is coming into play. Somebody said that in the comments the other day, fat finger syndrome. Okay, so I think I'm going to file a notch right along these little lines here. Let's bend these at those spots. little bit off on my measuring, but so I need to see how high this is going to sit on here. It needs to be high enough that I can get through there, and that looks about right, actually. So I think I'll do it about like that, maybe a little bit lower. But I need to do the same thing on the buckle part here too. It's going to be somewhere over here. And for this one, same thing, I need to get a trench going. This one's fun because the adjustableness of it is part of its theme. Okay, so I'm going to put this right on the end, I think. That. Hope that's the right thing to do. And I'm going to mount that on there like that. And the question is, how far in do I want this? Probably not too far, but I want it to be visible. If I go like that, that's kind of cute. Let's do that. But before I do that, I think I probably should solder these grooves that I created there and there and there. So let me get a little solder and we'll do that. By the way, I use generally all hard silver sheet solder. And I'm a big pick solderer, so if you haven't tried pick soldering, it's one of those things that really amped up my skills over the years, mastering that, and opens up a lot of things you couldn't do prior to that. So if you're interested in that, you should check out the video. I'll put a link up there for you. That's pick soldering is a great tool. I was trying to think of different things that were adjustable, and a belt seemed like an obvious choice. I'm sure other people have made similar stuff like this, but I thought that'd be a perfect idea for an adjustable ring. So I'm going to put this pretty close to the end there. It's snug. So I'm gonna, yeah, that looks pretty good. Actually, I should put this one on here too. So that's gonna go there. Let me get this on here and then I can slide it back and forth probably. And I think what I'll do for the stone here is I'll just sweat a little bit of solder on the back or on the top of this, I'm not sure. Either way it'll work. And then I'll flip this over and set it down and reheat it again. But for these ones, I'm probably going to just pick solder some of this a little bit. If you're new to this stuff that I'm spraying on is flux. And it cleans the metal and prepares the surface for soldering. So it doesn't look like it's cleaning the metal, but it's removing oxides from the surface. So let's find a little bit more solder here. There's a piece. And I'm going to sweat that onto the top of that there, I think. Sweat soldering is where pre-melt some solder into a place you need it to be so that it's already where it needs to be when you go to get it to flow, to stick something else to. Pretty colors. Okay, I think that's kind of want to make sure it's where you want it to be when you do this so that you don't have to move it afterwards. Once it's in place, it's harder to move a little bit. Watching for the other solder joints to reflow just a little bit. That usually indicates that we've reached enough temperature to get that stuff on the back to stick. So the way to find out for sure is to throw it in the pickle and see if it stays on there. Although usually, if you look at a solder joint like this, you can see whether you got a seam of solder that's flowed along, and it looks like it to me, although my eyes are getting worse with age. So let's put it in the pickle. We'll start working on the second one. Okay, so I think let's do the overlap one here. I cut myself, I made a little bezel for, I have this pretty little, actually a rhodonite, or excuse me, rhodochrosite. But it's really gemmy jelly looking. It doesn't have lines or impurities in it. It's a nice glowy piece of that. So I'm going to use that. And I went ahead and made a little open back bezel for it for this one, because we're going to do something like this, I think. So I don't know the exact configuration when we're done, but maybe something creative will occur to me as we go. But first, I cut this piece of 14 gauge round wire, and I just kind of eyeballed it, but let's see, it's about 220 millimeters, or 6 inches long, a little more than 6 inches long. So, but first we're going to make a loop out of it. Oops. Chad dropped the ball. Oh, there's a couple more. Come back here. I got that cooled off, and now we need to shape it in and put the solder joint off to the side, on the long side of it, so it doesn't interfere with bending things very much, because it'll be on more of a straight part. Somebody, I think it was Katie, in the comments on my channel in one of my videos, asked for advice on how to price your jewelry. And everybody's got a formula or something like that to help them gauge how to do it, but I think two things I would say about that is, one, if you're a beginner, even if you've mastered the basic competencies and you're making good jewelry that's quality and durable and will last, that is pretty, people have a tendency to underprice their jewelry because they're insecure about their work, because they're new at it, and you know, everybody lacks a little confidence when they're fresh at something. So that's one thing I would note. Another thing is that I don't believe people who create things artistically should have to be poor. So I would say pay yourself a living wage, you know? You deserve to be paid for what you do. Can't be expected to survive on $10 an hour in the economy these days. I don't think that would be pretty hard to do. So you're worth more than that. Sometime I'll do a video addressing that actual thing. But, okay, let me find this bezel here. I think I'm going to shape this so it kind of wraps around that. See how close I got on the sides here. A little small. Let's see if we can't size that up a little bit. Looks like some kind of racket or a cartoon bat. I got that in there pretty good. I like this to be relatively symmetrical here, so it doesn't look too amateurish. Let's secure him in there. This particular one I'm making maybe kind of a generic-y version of a cross or an overlap kind of thing, but I think there's a lot of creative stuff you could do with this. I'm trying to give you some basic ideas so that you can expand on those. Over on my Patreon, I did some earrings with balls a couple weeks ago. And sometimes the people over there make versions of what I make, and several of them made some really nice versions, much better than what I thought I made, of a couple of those types of earrings. It was really kind of cool. It makes me happy when somebody improves on something that I do, because then I can steal back their idea. I guess we could do something fun with the band. I think I'm going to go ahead and solder the middle part together, but I may add embellishments somehow here. I'm still thinking about this a little bit. Every once in a while I get myself on one of these pads because I forget they don't look hot, but they stay hot for quite a while. call this the old-fashioned tennis racket ring. I'm just going to let it kind of go as far as it'll go. I feel like maybe I need to do something fun with this one. What if we got this to wave like back and forth up here just slightly? Snaky snake. And then maybe make these wave just a little bit. I wonder how that would look. What's the worst thing that could happen? Alright, I'm going to start shaping this around a mandrel. But I think to make this look cool, I need to do some manual bending here. I need to get that sharply bent a little more. Remember I said I was going to continue these little curves back and forth up into this, I think. We'll see how that ends up looking. It'll shorten this a little bit, which would be kind of good, I think, because maybe I got this a little bit too long. So let's have it bow out on either side right around that one. I think that would be kind of cool. I think I might have made this just a bit too long. I have to shorten that. I'm just going to pick a little solder there, and then we'll rebend that here and probably throw it in the pickle for a while. If you're new to silversmithing, one of the primary things to know about silver is that in order to get a good solder joint, even if I'm soldering just this part over here, I need to get this whole thing pretty close to the soldering temperature. If I do that, then I can bump it up just a few more degrees over here by focusing for a second and get that to go. See, I got it pretty hot there. I almost got that to melt a little bit. But the idea is you get it pretty close and then hit it there right when it's about right. That takes a little practice, so don't expect yourself to be perfect at it right away. Okay, I'm going to do some more reconfiguration here, and then we'll pickle it and we'll do our third one. Okay, I took a little break and I thought about what I wanted to do for the bypass one I was going to do, and I decided I had made this bezel for this little piece of Chrysoprase earlier, and I thought in case I needed to do a stone for the third ring, and I decided to use a stone for the third ring. And so what I think I'm going to do is I took this piece of 8 gauge half round and I made a little kind of octagonal, a square with kind of filed down corners that are octagonal, and I thought I would kind of offset them from each other, opposite sides like this. That way you got the circle contrasting with the angular shape, and they'll kind of rest on top of the finger on either side. So let's solder those together, and then we'll bend that around a mandrel and see how it looks. Sometimes when I have plans to do these videos, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to make, but I have kind of a general idea. I thought some rings that could be slightly adjustable would be a good thing to add to your repertoire. So let's solder these guys together. Probably with this square thing, I'm going to try and get it to curve a little bit. Here's a trick you can use sometimes when you want to direct a little bit of force to a spot. Hopefully you can see this. You use the back of a dapping punch in a spot like this where it's kind of sticking out higher. But you don't want to really get the hammer in there to round it out. I lean it against my chest like that and then kind of just tap it down. That gets it down the rest of the way. Make sure I set the camera back right. And that's, that's pretty adjustable. You can move it up or down quite a bit. Give yourself a little room to play with. So I will finish these up, set the stones and everything, and show you the final product and take some good pictures for the end of the video. So I also have a couple of other videos. There's one where I did a bypass ring. That's a different style. It's kind of underneath the bezel, and that's an adjustable ring. There's also some abstract ones. I'll put a link up there for those. Those can be kind of adjustable depending upon how you do them. So I'll leave a link there for you for those. So, all right. Suffering from a bad case of polishing hair. Okay, so here's the three different kinds. Here's the belt one, which I thought I was really pleased how that turned out. I think that's pretty cool. So I'll take some pictures of that at the end as well. Here's the kind of abstract wavy one, which I think is sort of fun. And again, like this one, you can slide it bigger or smaller just a little bit. Same way with this one, you could probably change the orientation a little bit. Change it a size or two. This one is just a standard bypass with a particular motif. I mean, you can make these look like anything. I was going with geometric shapes. So, and that of course is adjustable by changing it up or down. So, all right, I hope you enjoyed those. Oh, I did think of another one I did a while back. It's called the vine ring. I'll put a link up there for that. So that is also a bypass ring, or an adjustable ring, I should say. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed those adjustable rings. If you did, make sure to hit the like button before you leave. Thank you so much for visiting. Why don't you take some time and check out a few other videos. I have a large quantity of content here. I've been putting out 3 videos a week for over a year. And there's lots of stuff for beginners, intermediate, advanced people. I think there's a lot of useful stuff here for you, so you might want to consider subscribing. And if you do, hit the bell so that you get notifications when I upload a new video. But if you don't, I upload them on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning typically, so keep an eye out for those. Thanks for visiting. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to check out the links in the video description. Take care. Happy silversmithing.